All right, we have another tier list, and this request is from Akno Goji. They wanted me to make a tier list of the bands that I like. Now, the thing with this list is that I have thousands of bands that I like, but what I decided to do was to go onto TierMaker and look at a list that is basically the genre that I pretty much grew up with, the genre that I have the most experience with, and the music that I kind of feel is like my favorite of all time, and that would be nu metal. So back in the early days, I was a huge nu metal fan. I am still a huge nu metal buff, and these are the bands that I really truly love. I wanted to still honor the requests, but it's not necessarily going to be every single band I like. It's just going to be this type of genre. But most of the bands I like come from this age of metal. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we have Manga, which I haven't heard these guys, so I don't know this one. A Perfect Circle, that is from the same guys from Tool, or at least the singer from Tool. This band is pretty good. I would say that I do like them. They have a pretty good, melodic side to them. It's pretty much like Diet Tool, if I'm being honest, but they're still pretty good. Nothing Face. This rings a bell, but I don't remember anything off the top of my head, so I would probably have to put in haven't listened to. Haven't listened to is kind of also like I don't know, or don't know if I have heard them or not. But again, I might have heard of Nothing Face, but not too sure. Stained. Okay, Stained is a pretty good one. I do like Stained. Stained has some pretty good songs in there, so definitely would go with those guys. Yeah, like them. Dead Sea, yeah, definitely have not heard of them, have not listened to them. I'm not familiar with that band. The Union Underground, these guys are good, actually. I do like them. It's sad they only had like one album, but for some reason their songs are so nostalgic to me. Like that one album is just pure nostalgic nu metal for me. Really dig that album. Power Man 5000. Power Man 5000, I love Power Man 5000. The singer is, I believe he's either a cousin of Rob Zombie. So yeah, this is an amazing band. Highly recommend listening to them. Definitely one of the best nu metal bands out there. Stuck Mojo, have not heard of those guys. Nope, do not know these guys, don't recognize the logo, so there's that. And what's cool is that this actually could be some bands that I could actually listen to now and maybe get into some new ones. All right, Soulfly. Yeah, Soulfly is pretty good. I do like Soulfly. Their stuff is pretty heavy. Obviously, the song Jump the F Up with featuring Corey Taylor, that's a really good one. I think that's the song that everyone knows them from. But the rest of their stuff is actually pretty good. What was Back to the Primitive, I think, was another good one. So they're a really good band, too. All right, Limp Bizkit, here we go. I don't want to say I have no opinion on them. I guess what I would change this to is we'll just go meh. I'm gonna put Limp Bizkit in meh. There are some songs obviously like Break Stuff and they're classics that are really good, but a lot of this stuff is also just kind of like I don't really care for, so I'm just gonna put them in meh. Snot. Yeah, no, I've not heard of that. So that's another band that I should probably listen to. Spineshank. Yeah, these guys. I love Spineshank. Spineshank is such a high octane, heavy, super fast beats. Really, really cool band. Highly recommend them. Primer 55, I believe that's what that says. Again, have not heard of these guys, so that could be another one that I can listen to. Turnstile, another one that I haven't listened to, not familiar with them, don't recognize the logo, so gotta look into them. Rage Against the Machine. I do like Rage Against the Machine. I don't really know how you can't if you're a nu metal fan, although I wouldn't really consider their music nu metal. But still, during that age, early 2000s angst kind of, metal, they're really good. Very political, obviously, but I think the beats and the sounds, melodies they make it's really good. Dry Kill Logic. I've heard a little bit about these guys. I think I've heard some songs. I'm going to put them in meh. I hope that doesn't piss off some people, but I haven't had a lot of experience with them, so I'm going to put them in meh because I'm not too sure. Papa Roach, yeah, definitely love Papa Roach. They've evolved tremendously since their roots, I guess. But I still listen to them even today. Like their current stuff, the modern stuff that they put out is still really good. I would consider myself still a fan of them, so definitely good. Nonpoint, I love Nonpoint as well. These guys are really good. The album Bullet with Your Name is like I think that's like the album for them. So again, this band is really, really good as well. Chevelle I'm actually kind of meh with, to be honest. Chevelle they're good, but I've never gotten too big into their music. So I wouldn't say I dislike them, but I definitely would put them in meh. 1 Minute Silence. Not familiar with this one. Yep, don't recognize the logo or anything, so that's another band I need to listen to. I can't unread that. Cribby Town? I'm not really sure. So that's another one that I am not familiar with. Okay, Dope. Favorite. Yes. To me, Dope is one of the best nu metal bands, and the fact that they're still around is super awesome. But these guys, man, I listened to their music so much back in the day, and I still listen to them from time to time. And there'll be times when I'm like, you know what, I'm in the mood for some Dope, and that sounded wrong actually, but like the band Dope, not the drug. Definitely one of the top tier nu metal bands in my opinion. Edema, these guys are okay. I'd put them in meh. I'm not a huge fan, but I also don't dislike them. If some of their music came on the radio, I'd probably listen to it, but I am somewhat familiar with them, but not too heavy. Flaw, I do like Flaw when they were around. I don't think they had too many albums, but what they had and the music that they had at the time, I actually really did like, so they're another good one. Taproot is okay. I'm gonna put them in meh as well. I don't have too much experience with them, but I do know, like, I can imagine hearing some of their songs right now. So they're not bad. So they're in meh. Deftones is a classic. For me personally, I like Deftones. There's a few of their songs that I like, but I wouldn't really consider myself a huge fan of them. But I do know that Deftones is one of like the biggest pioneers of nu metal at the time, so I have respect for them, but I gotta put them in like. Skin Lab, not sure what they are, have not heard of that band. I don't know what that is. I feel like I should know who that is, but I don't, based off the logo, so I'd have to look into that. Seven Dust is another one of my all-time favorite nu metal bands. If they are considered nu metal, I'm not really sure, or if they're just metal or heavy metal, I'm not really sure, but Seven Dust these guys never disappoint. Every one of their albums I think are bangers and just really, really entertaining to listen to. Him, okay, this is a Finnish band, which is really cool. I found these guys out by listening to Lordi, but I would say I'd put them in like. I'm not a huge fan, but I do like the music for sure. Mom, I'm not sure if that is Mom. I don't know if that says Mom, but I don't recognize them. OTEP is going in favorite. Love OTEP. Really, really good political band, but super heavy. And the singer, she is like, her vocals are, in my opinion, like one of the best female singers in a band ever. And just the way that she can do screamo, like her screams and growls are just super great. Like, not a lot of, at least in my experience, not a lot of women have great like screaming vocals, but for some reason I love the way that she does her screaming vocals. Nocturne, I am not familiar with. Marilyn Manson, all right, this is a classic. I like Marilyn Manson. There are some songs that I like, some songs that I don't really care for. It's one of their like earlier albums that I really like the most. It was like one of their most, I think it was the most rock and roll one that they had. So yeah. Fear Factory, I'm gonna put in love actually. Yeah, Fear Factory's good. That's some good old industrial metal actually. Again, nu metal is such a broad statement, but what's cool is this list has a lot of bands that I listened to growing up, so and that I have a lot of fondness for. So Fear Factory is definitely one of those bands that I remember listening to all the time, and I still do nowadays. Godsmack is a classic. I love Godsmack. Haven't listened to them a lot recently. They've kind of fallen off the radar, but I don't think they're making music anymore, but I think they're still touring. But I do love Godsmack. They were one of the first bands that I got into back in the day when I was like in middle school. Drowning Pool, I gotta put in love, or favorite, actually. Yeah, favorite. Drowning Pool is one of my favorites. They're another, in my opinion, pillar of nu metal. Let the Bodies Hit the Floor obviously is like like one of the most essential nu metal tracks ever. So definitely dig Drowning Pool. POD. POD I like. POD's not too bad. I think they're one of the few. I don't know if they're a Christian band, but I know they have some Christian overtones. So it's kind of nice to see that representation in this kind of genre, because you don't really see it that much in nu metal with like faith and Christianity and stuff like that. A lot of nu metal bands actually back in the day were not. They were actually kind of anti-Christian. So, but I don't really listen to these bands for their actual ideologies. I listen to them for the music itself. So, but POD I'd put in like. Cold Chamber, yeah, I love Cold Chamber, man. I remember when I first listened to these guys, they blew me away. So Cold Chamber is one of the goats in my opinion. This is Alien Ant Farm. I know this logo. It's very iconic. I'd put them in meh, to be honest. Really, the song obviously was the Michael Jackson cover. But they had the other album, their like full first album, which is not too bad, but again, it's more meh because I think they don't really have that much discography. So, okay, I can't understand what that says. Step something? I don't know, but I don't recognize it. Kitty, I've actually heard of Kitty, but I don't know them that well. So, Disturbed, that has got to be in favorite. Disturbed is another juggernaut in the nu metal scene, and again, the fact that they're still going today is amazing. So I think they just celebrated as of recording this, they just celebrated like the 25th anniversary of the Down with the Sickness. So really, really good stuff here. Incubus? Really? Is this the Incubus that I'm thinking of? That's interesting. I did not think of them as a nu metal band. I don't think this is the Incubus that's like more of the pop rock kind of stuff. But if it is the Incubus that I know, I'll put it in meh. Not really sure. Okay, System of a Down, another iconic nu metal band. I'll like them. I know that they have a huge following, but I've always kind of been lukewarm with them. I've never been super big of a fan, but some of their stuff I do like. So I'll put them in like. AHC, I am not familiar with that, so we'll put that down there. Slaves on Dope, that's funny. Don't recognize them though. Orgy, I've heard of this band, but I actually dislike them. I think I heard some of their music back in the day and I was not impressed. I just didn't really like the way they sounded, so that one probably go there. Pitch Shifter, I don't recognize that. No, don't recognize that one. Tala, I do recognize that name, and I think I've heard some of his music. I'm gonna put him in meh. I'm not too familiar, but I know some of his stuff. Like I can hear his vocals right now. Okay. Who do we got? Evanescence. Oh, hell yeah, Evanescence going in favorite. And now again, like Evanescence, I wouldn't consider nu metal. I would consider her more along the lines of like a more darker metal version of Paramore, if I'm being completely honest. But Evanescence is definitely one of the goats. Like such an amazing band. Oh, Mudvayne, yes. They're actually making a comeback too right now, currently, Mudvayne, and I am hoping that they're going to come out with some new material. I think their last album before they took a big hiatus was 2009, I think. But Mudvayne, oh god, Dig is like one of my all-time favorite nu metal songs. Zebrahead, I don't recognize them. Skindred rings a bell, but still I don't recognize them. Mushroomhead. Yeah, I love Mushroomhead. Not going to put them in favorite of all time, but Mushroomhead definitely, when I first heard of them, I was like, okay, it's kind of like they're kind of like a really good alternative to Slipknot, in my opinion. I know that they get compared a lot, but Mushroomhead is still great. They've had a ton of lineup changes, though, over the years, but their music is still pretty good to, like, energizing to listen to. Oh yeah, iconic Linkin Park, of course, favorite. Rest in peace, Chester Bennington. Linkin Park, man, you can't go wrong with Linkin Park at all. Like, I don't even really have to talk further about them. Same thing with Slipknot, man. Like, I would admit that nowadays Slipknot's I'm not as super hyped about Slipknot anymore because they've had a lot of lineup changes and a lot of decisions that I haven't really agreed with, but I'm really hoping that the next album that they make will be really good. I wasn't a fan of the last album that came out. I think it was the end of the beginning, or I can't remember the album, but the We Are Not Your Kind album I thought was really good. So hopefully they can keep it together. I'm still a big fan of their old stuff, and some of their newer stuff is all right. So yeah, Slipknot though, still my favorite. Sugar Ray? Yeah, I don't know that. Jack Off Jill? That sounds a little perverted. Trapped. Okay, here's the thing. Trapped has a lot of controversy with the singer, but I do like Trapped. I do, yeah, I think they're pretty good. I don't have a problem with them. I do know the singer has a lot of controversy around him, but I think for the songs themselves, separating the artist from the art, I think their songs are pretty good. Oh, Static X. Yes, Static X is going in favorite. They're super amazing. Rest in peace to their singer as well, Wayne Static. And what I love about the band too is actually some of the latest stuff that the band has tried to, they've continued the legacy of Static X. Okay, not familiar with My Ruin. Snake River Country. No, don't recognize them. Korn, of course, that's another pillar. Korn is probably one of the first new metal bands out there. Really, really good stuff. Even their new stuff is great. Like, I think these guys are just, they never get old in my opinion. They're really good. Saliva. These guys are meh. They have like one-hit wonders, of course, and a lot of stuff that was played on the radio, like Click Click Boom, I think was their biggest one. They're all right. I wouldn't dislike them, but they're meh. Okay, don't know that one. Il Nino, these guys are pretty good. I do like them. Some of their music's pretty hard and awesome. I definitely have to, when I put them on, I always have enjoyment. CKY, I do know about them, but I've never listened to their stuff a lot, so I'd put them in this section here. Rammstein, I'd say I like Rammstein. To be honest, I still have to listen to a lot of their discography. I've only really heard some of their big hits, like their big singles, but I need to really get into like their full discography and really dig down into their library. Rob Zombie was another first for me. That was like one of, again, similar to like with, where are they? Godsmack. Rob Zombie was one of the first bands that I really got into in like middle school. So his stuff isn't as great nowadays, to be honest, but I still dig Rob Zombie, of course. And 311 I'm not familiar with. So there's that. So, as you guys can see, that is my tier list for my favorite new metal bands. Again, I know the request was my favorite bands in general, but again, we'd be here for hours if it was literally every single band that I wanted to rank. So, this is basically a snapshot of the genre that really kind of formed my love for rock and metal, and basically these are the bands that I really have a big respect to and love a lot. So so I want to thank Akno Goji for the request, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and that's it for me. So let me know in the comments below what your guys' opinion would be. What would your tier list look like for these bands? If you're into new metal, do you love new metal? Do you hate new metal? Let's start a discussion below. I'd love to read the comments. That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay Big G fans.